Have you ever noticed something strange? When you're working towards something, nobody asks how it's going. Nobody checks if you're making progress. Nobody believes you when you say you're going to make it. But the second you succeed, everyone suddenly remembers your name. They'll tell people they always knew you were going to do it. They'll act like they supported you from the very beginning. But where were they when nobody was watching? Where were they during the months or even years when you were completely invisible? Here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't believe in potential. They believe in proof. And once you understand that, you stop wasting your energy trying to convince everyone around you. Instead, you let your results do the talking. Think about the biggest names you know today. Athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, actors, musicians. Every single one of them has something in common. There was a period in their life when nobody cared. Not because they lacked talent, not because they weren't working hard, but because success hadn't happened yet. We love the ending of the story. We celebrate the championship, the million subscribers, the luxury cars, the sold-out arenas, the headlines. But almost nobody wants to watch the boring part. The mornings that started before sunrise, the nights where they questioned everything, the failures nobody talks about, the rejection, the loneliness, the self-doubt. Those moments don't go viral. Success does, and that's exactly why most people quit. Not because the work is impossible, but because the silence is. Imagine spending months learning a new skill, going to the gym every day, building a business, uploading videos, writing a book, studying after work, day after day, week after week, with almost nothing to show for it. No applause, no recognition, no comments telling you to keep going. Just silence. That silence is where most dreams die. Because humans naturally crave validation. We want people to notice. We want someone to tell us, "You're doing great. Keep going." But life doesn't work like that. In fact, life is almost the opposite. The less successful you are, the less attention you receive, which creates a dangerous cycle. People stop because nobody is watching, and nobody watches because they stop too early. It's ironic, isn't it? The recognition you desperately want usually arrives long after you stop needing it. So maybe the real question isn't, why doesn't anybody believe in me? Maybe the better question is, why do I need them to? Because the moment your motivation depends on other people's approval, you've handed them control over your future. And that's one of the most expensive mistakes a person can make. The people who eventually succeed aren't always the smartest. They're not always the most talented either. They're simply the ones who kept going, long after everyone else lost interest. And if you're waiting for permission, for support, for someone to tell you you're on the right path, you might be waiting forever. Because the world rarely rewards effort in real time. It rewards results. And results take time. So why are human beings wired to ignore potential and only pay attention after someone has already made it? The answer goes much deeper than you probably think. The human brain has a strange way of deciding who deserves attention. It doesn't reward effort. It rewards certainty. Think about it. If someone walked up to you today and said, "One day, I'm going to build $1 billion company," what would your first reaction be? Most people would smile, maybe even laugh. Not because the goal is impossible, but because there is no evidence. Now imagine hearing that exact same sentence from Elon Musk. Suddenly, it sounds believable. The words didn't change. Only the person saying them did. That's how powerful proof is. Our brains are constantly looking for shortcuts. Instead of asking, "Is this person capable?" we ask, "Has this person already done it?" It's faster, it's safer, and from an evolutionary perspective, it makes perfect sense. Thousands of years ago, following the wrong person could literally get you killed. If one hunter had already found food, you followed him. If another claimed he knew where food was, but had never proven it, you probably ignored him. That instinct never disappeared. It simply evolved. Today, instead of following the best hunter, we follow the person with the most followers. Instead of trusting experience, we trust popularity. Instead of looking for truth, we look for social proof. And that's where many people get trapped. They mistake attention for value. But attention has never been a reliable measure of quality. Some of the smartest people in the world work in complete silence. No cameras, no interviews, no millions of followers. Yet they build companies, develop life-changing technology, or solve problems that affect millions of lives. Meanwhile, someone dances for 15 seconds online and becomes famous overnight. That's the world we live in, a world where visibility is often confused with importance. But here's the interesting part. Real success almost always begins in obscurity. Nobody saw Amazon when it was selling books from a garage. Nobody cared about YouTube creators uploading videos to 10 subscribers. Nobody believed in Spotify before streaming became normal. People only notice history after it's already been written. And that's exactly why being ignored can actually become your biggest advantage. When nobody expects anything from you, you have room to fail, to experiment, to improve, to disappear for months and come back stronger. No pressure, no headlines, no expectations, just progress. Ironically, the people who complain the most about being overlooked are often the ones spending more time looking around than looking forward. Every minute spent wondering why nobody supports you is a minute you're not becoming better. Because support doesn't create success. Success creates support. Read that again. Support doesn't create success. Success creates support. People love joining a winning story. Very few are willing to be part of the beginning. And maybe that's not something to be angry about. Maybe that's just human nature. But if that's true, then it raises another question. If the world only notices winners, how do you keep moving forward when it feels like you're completely alone? That might be the hardest part of the entire journey. Being alone isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is wondering if all of this is actually worth it. Because after enough time, your mind starts asking dangerous questions. What if they're right? What if I'm wasting my life? What if I'm simply not good enough? Those questions don't appear on day one. They appear after months of effort, after your 10th failure, after another project that goes nowhere, after another video that gets 30 views, after another business idea that nobody cares about. That's when doubt becomes louder than ambition. And here's something most people never realize. Your biggest enemy isn't failure. It's the meaning you attach to failure. Two people can experience the exact same setback. One says, "This proves I'm not good enough." The other says, "This is part of the process." Same event, completely different future. Because success isn't built on confidence, it's built on interpretation. The stories you tell yourself matter far more than the events themselves. Think about learning to walk. As a baby, you fell hundreds of times, maybe thousands. Did anyone call you a failure? Of course not. Falling wasn't evidence that you couldn't walk. It was evidence that you were learning. So why does that mindset disappear as adults? Somewhere along the way, we become terrified of looking inexperienced. We avoid failure at all costs. We stop trying new things because we're afraid of being judged, not by strangers, but by people who aren't even chasing their own dreams. That's the irony. The loudest critics are often the people taking the fewest risks. They'll question your business while working a job they hate. They'll laugh at your YouTube channel while spending 5 hours every night watching someone else's. They'll tell you to be realistic because they've convinced themselves that giving up is the same as being realistic. Never let someone else's limits become your own. People project their fears onto others, not because they want to hurt you, but because your ambition reminds them of the risks they were too afraid to take. It's easier to convince you to stop than to admit they stopped trying years ago. And that's why seeking approval is such a dangerous game. We'll never get enough of it. When you're unknown, people ignore you. When you start growing, people doubt you. When you become successful, people envy you. There is no stage where everyone suddenly supports you. It doesn't exist. The rules simply change, which means something incredible. If criticism is inevitable, why let it decide your future? Imagine spending 10 years building the life you've always wanted, only to realize you never started because you were afraid of what a few people might think. That's a painful trade, trading your future for someone else's opinion. And the truth is, most of those people won't even remember your name 5 years from now. But you'll remember the opportunities you never took, the business you never started, the videos you never uploaded, the book you never wrote, the life you never gave yourself permission to live. One day, you'll either look back with pride or with excuses, and that choice is being made every single day. So if nobody is coming to validate you, if nobody is going to believe in you before you succeed, then where does real confidence actually come from? The answer changes everything. So where does real confidence come from? Most people think confidence comes first. They believe that one day they'll wake up feeling fearless, feeling motivated, feeling ready. But that's not how confidence works. Confidence is earned, not given. Nobody starts their journey believing they're going to succeed. Not the entrepreneur, not the athlete, not the artist, not the creator. They start with something much smaller, a decision to keep going, even when they have no reason to believe it's going to work. And every time they show up, they make a promise to themselves. Every workout, every page written, every business call, every video uploaded, every failure survived, each one becomes evidence, not for the world, for themselves. That's how confidence is built, one promise kept at a time. The problem is most people never stay consistent long enough to collect that evidence. They quit before their actions have a chance to change their identity. Because deep down, your identity isn't shaped by what you dream about. It's shaped by what you repeatedly do. If you tell yourself you're disciplined, but quit every time things become uncomfortable, your brain doesn't believe your words. It believes your actions. Actions are proof, not opinions, not motivation. Proof. And maybe that's why so many people spend years waiting for a feeling that only comes after they've done the work. It's backwards. Action creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum creates results. And results change everything. One day, without even realizing it, people will start treating you differently. The same people who ignored you will suddenly become curious. The same people who laughed will ask how you did it. Some will even tell others they always believed in you. Don't be angry when that day comes. Smile, because you'll finally understand something. They didn't change, you did. You became impossible to ignore. Not because you convinced anyone, but because your work became louder than your words. That's the goal. Not attention, not validation, not applause, but becoming so undeniably good that your results speak before you ever have to. So if you're building something today, a business, a skill, a body, a dream, and it feels like nobody cares, good. You're exactly where almost every successful person once stood. Invisible, uncertain, questioning everything. Keep going anyway. Because history has a funny way of repeating itself. Every success story begins the same way, with someone working in silence, long before anyone was paying attention. And maybe, one day someone will discover your story. They'll look at your success, and they'll say, "You're so lucky." They'll never see the years when nobody cared, the nights you almost quit, the mornings you kept showing up anyway. They'll only see the ending. They celebrate the victory, but they rarely witness the battle. So let them watch the ending. You focus on surviving the beginning, because in the end, the people who win aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to stop while nobody was watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, not because this channel is already big, but because one day it will have a story to tell too.